Hello guys, Jarad Roper here, professional crappie angler, here for Crappie Academy. And I'm going to talk to you about which rods you need to spider rig. That is a question someone had, and we're here to answer your questions. Alright, let's talk about clear water. In clear water, you're going to need a rod that is the length 14 or 16 foot long. That's what we use, 14 or 16. Now they have rods 18 and yes, even 20, but we normally stick with 14 and 16 footers. The reason why you need that, fish that are in clear water, they can see you. Just think about when you were swimming in a swimming pool and you were sitting down at the bottom. You can see people that's walking around the swimming pool, all right? Same thing with fish. They can see you in clear water very, very good. And so in clear water, you want to make sure you use a 16 or 14 foot long rod, all right? Clear water. Now, if you are fishing in stained water, it has a lot of color to it, or muddy, you can get away with using a shorter rod. Okay, stained water, you can get away with using a shorter rod. I would say you can get away with using a 14 footer or even less. All right, stained water, you can get away with using a 12 footer or 14 footer. But in clear water, you want to use a longer rod. All right, clear water, longer rods. Stained water, you can shorten up your rods. Now here's the thing. Let's go to another application. If you are fishing extremely deep, and when I say extremely deep, I'm talking about deep for me is 15 feet and deeper to 25 feet or even deeper. And you're targeting brush piles, some type of cover that is that deep. You don't want to use a 14 or a 16 or an 18 foot long rod. You want to use a short rod. And a lot of people in Texas do this. They'll fish with 12 or 10s. They'll spider rig with 12 or 10 footers. This reason is because you're able to sit right there on top of your brush pile. And you can stay right on top of it. So when you're fishing in deep water, you want to go ahead and use a shorter rod, okay, 10 to 12 footer, so that you can stay right there on the brush pile. And you'll be able, with your rods being that close, your rods are close to your trolling motor, and what you see on your screen, on your depth finder, your lines are kind of right there, okay? So in deep water, you can get away with using short rods. I'm talking about 10 footers or 12 footers. Some people might even prefer 9s, okay? Now, in shallow water, whether it is stained or clear, in shallow water 5 feet or less, you want to use a longer rod. Okay? 5 feet or less, no matter if the water is chocolate milk or it's clear, you want to use a 14, 16, and yes, even sometimes 18. Because fish in shallow water act just like they're in clear water. They can sense things a whole lot more better in shallow water than in a mid-range like 10 or 15 feet. All right? So listen, clear water. If you're fishing in clear water, you want to use a 14, 16, 18 foot long rod. We use 14 and 16. Normally that gets the job done. If you're fishing in stained water, you can get away with using a 12 or a 14 footer. I would prefer you use 14s in stained water also. That's covering that mid-range from 5 feet to 10 or 12 feet, okay? You can use a shorter rod in stained water. But if you're fishing shallow stained water, whether it's 5 feet in muddy or 5 feet in clear, you need to use a long rod, a 14, 16, or 18. And if you're fishing very deep, in clear water, or it has a little color to it, but you're fishing deep, you can use a 10 or 12 foot rod so that you can keep your baits kind of close to your trolling motor where your transducer is picking up that brush pile and kind of stay right there on that brush pile. This is Jarad Roper. Hopefully I didn't confuse you and this helps you out. So for those that are just getting into spider rigging, try these techniques. Overall, what you might say, overall, what rod should I buy? I don't want to buy a 10, a 12, or this and that like all of us other guys might have. Overall, the best rod length to get starting out is a 14 footer. period. 14 footer. But if you want to go ahead and venture a little bit deeper into spider rigging and, you know, just kind of diving in just a little bit deeper, you can get a 12 for deeper water and 14s for that mid-range, and definitely 16s if you're covering and fishing in the springtime and you're covering that shallow water. All right, Jarad Roper, professional crappie angler, here for Crappie Academy, saying go fishing and see you in the water.